what to do when you feel lost in life. As someone in the past who I've had periods of time in my life where I didn't know what's next in terms of my job, in terms of my relationships, or in terms of my health, and it was really frustrating and kind of scary. So when you feel lost in life, I can empathize with how you feel. So in this video, I plan to show you our 4-step framework for when you feel lost in life. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will have a step-by-step process of how to identify where you're lost at and then how to move through that. So with that being said, my name's Richardson. I'm a coach here at Life on Your Terms, and I make these videos to hopefully pass on my experience, pass on my knowledge to help you move through these things quicker than I ever could. So with that being said, the first piece of what to do when you feel lost in life is to identify what is making you feel lost, or as we call it here at Life in Your Terms, to stabilize. So you have to look at what are the areas of your life that you feel lost within. And if you're having trouble laying and mapping those areas out, I'd encourage you to take the balance wheel at the end of this video, because it's really helpful to look at your professional, your relationships, your health, and your resources, see that they're all interconnected, and see that they have subcategories to each. That can be a really helpful breakdown. So taking the balance wheel can help you look at the root causes. Now maybe that's not enough. Maybe you still can't identify. Maybe you're like, you know what, Chris? I still don't know. I just feel generally lost. And that's where I'd encourage you to practice mindfulness. Because a lot of the times in our lives, what'll happen is we're so busy that the only time we're not doing anything is literally right when we wake up and right when we go to sleep. Because typically we get on our phones right away, and we do that throughout the whole day when we fill our time up. So then we're like, I feel lost, but I don't know why. So this is why you practice mindfulness, is you sit down in your environment, preferably outside. I really like to sit outside of my chair. There's some trees out there, and I just look around. And what I find is if I really just focus on the present, ideas will start flooding in. I'll be like, oh my gosh, that is such a great idea for this client. You know, sometimes the client ideas come in like, this is how I solved that problem for him. Stuff like that. Or, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a breakthrough in my relationship. Whatever it may be, this mindfulness can really give you those unlocks. So I'd encourage you to first take the balance wheel, but then pair that with mindfulness if you're still struggling. And also, if you're still struggling and you've practiced mindfulness, another thing you can do is actually sit and do completely nothing. Don't even focus with what is around you, and literally do absolutely nothing. Sometimes I'll go sit out there and I just be like, you know what, I'm not even gonna focus what's in front of me. I'm actually just gonna sit and I am going to do nothing at all. And when I do nothing, again, ideas start to flood in. Another thing is free writing. You can just start writing your feelings out. You're like, you may have this thought in your head, you're like, you know what, I don't know what I wanna do next with my career. Just start writing that out. It can be really helpful to get those thoughts onto a page, and then you reread it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, there's my solution. So take the balance wheel, practice mindfulness, and then sit and do nothing or write. Now on top of that, when you're doing these things, you can think about your core values. Maybe you're misaligned in some of those areas of your life. So ask yourself, okay, am I following in line with my core values, or have I strayed away? So maybe that's integrity or loyalty, whatever it is. You have to look at your core values, what makes you you, and then look at that in terms of what you're doing. Maybe it's impact and you're in a job for money and you're not in line with impact. You're just in it for the dollars, and it's time to kind of reshape and reform what you're in. So you want to look at, are you in your core values, and also are you being fulfilled with what you are doing? Is this the work that is fulfilling you? Are you in it for the money? Are you in it from some other's opinion? Are you in it for the status? What are those things? So identify what is having you lost. So the second piece would be to look at what does amazing look like, or to visualize. So you have this area, okay, I'm lost. You've identified what you're lost in. Maybe it's your professional, maybe it's your relationships, maybe it's your health, or maybe it's your resources, or maybe it's all four. You've identified where you're lost and you're here. So now it's time to look at what does amazing look like 12 months from now? What does amazing look like 5 years from now in those areas that you have identified? Because what this does is it helps you create an arbitrage of difference. So you're here, but you want to get here, and now you're visualizing what here looks like, because in the next 2 steps we're going to talk about the difference. But when you are visualizing, you're going to look at what does amazing look like, and then you're going to visualize how to get there, the work it's going to take to get there, because those are all the actions that you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. So, let's say you want to quit your job, start a new job. Well, you're gonna visualize all the processes between that. Or maybe you wanna reform your relationship, go to couples therapy, stuff like that. Whatever it may be, you wanna look at all these differences, look what amazing look like, and then look at the work it takes to get there. Now on top of that, if you're struggling still on looking what amazing look like, you wanna look at the 4 situations. Now these 4 situations are as follows. The first is, if I were to give you millions of dollars, what would you buy and what would you do with that money? If I were to tell you, hey, you've got to do a job or a hobby that you love, and I'll pay you $250,000 a year, but you just have to stay busy with that and you have to do it. 3, you have a 3-year expiration date and the doctor says 3 years you're gonna drop dead. What would you do with your last 3 years? Number 4 is if you're at your 100th year birthday, what are some of the achievements and some of the legacy pieces you wanna be hearing talking about? Now what this does, these 4 situations, you can lay these out and start to rank them. Oh, you know what, with all that money, I would do that. Because then that's gonna give you the what does amazing look like piece with what you're feeling lost in life, which leads us into our next step. The next step, the 3rd step, is to strategize. Or what strategies do you need to regain clarity? Usually, to me at least, is that generally when we feel lost, it's usually a function of control. If I think back to any time in my life when I felt really lost about a job, really lost in a relationship, really lost with my health, or really lost with my resources, it's usually that I'm not in control of those. When I'm in control, when I'm in the driver's seat, I have really good clarity, typically. And sometimes this control isn't what you think it is. It's not like someone just comes in and takes away, like, yes, you have to do this, this, and this. But it's really that you're not involved anymore. You're kind of coasting potentially, and you're not in control of your life. So if you feel like these 4 areas are all, you feel lost in all of them, it's probably because you're not in control of your life, and that is because you're not taking an intentional approach with your life. So I'd encourage you to go through these activities because it will help give you that clarity and give you the control that you so desperately need. So on top of strategy and getting back in control of our lives, we also want to look at what actions do we need to take to get excellence and to get what we visualize amazing to look like. So you've looked at where you're at, you've looked at where you want to go. So all this in between is going to be the work that you have to do. So what do you need to do to get there? And usually with the functions of goals, you can keep yourself accountable. I like daily, weekly, quarterly, and yearly goals. Having those set, and then you can come up with the actions necessary to take you from where you're at to where you want to go to feel again in control of your life. I think that's what a lot of strategy is about, is control. So on top of getting the actions to get clarity, you also want to do educational experiences that you might need for if you want to, again, jobs, couples therapy, maybe it's health, you want to get into better shape, lose 15 pounds, whatever it is, you want to look at educational experiences. You want to look at experiences in general. Sometimes that can lead the way. A little bit of novelty or newness in our life can really help us be like, oh my gosh, this is my next step. This is my next step in life. I'm no longer lost. So look at educational experiences and then new experiences to help lead the way within your strategy. Now, the 4th and final piece is to execute. This is what is the most important step. It's because you need to start taking action. Because I probably am guessing that the reason you may feel out of control is that you haven't started to take action. Now, this is not always the case, but you may not be in control of your life. So to start to take action and take control is the most important piece. Now with execution, you also want to ask what barriers will stand in your way from gaining this clarity? What old habits might you sink into? What old things may you sink into that'll take you and detract you and make you feel lost once again in life? So if you have to ask yourself, what barriers will stop me? What action do I need to take to make this happen? And then also, what routines or systems can you put in place to make it easier for these actions to occur to help take you to amazing and help take you past some of those areas you identified? So with that being said, I believe systems and routines are just a function to make a certain outcome more likely to happen. For example, if you want to lose your 15 pounds, you set out your gym clothes the night before, and that is a system or a routine that makes it easier for an outcome to happen. Same thing for if you're running a business. You have so many different systems and routines, and you may have a bad system that doesn't make the outcome that you want happen. You should have to change the system. So the same thing in all of your areas of life is that you create a system or a routine to make the outcome that you want easier to happen. So with that being said, if you're still here, go take that balance wheel because that's the first step in the process. On top of that, if you liked the video, go ahead and like, subscribe, and most importantly, comment, because that is what I know and how I know to make more of these videos. When you guys comment and I see you really like them, it's really valuable, it means a lot to me, and then I know that, hey, this is a really good topic that people enjoy.